once again to the Autodromo Santa Monica from Misano for San Marino, round 3 of the championship. And weather has, once again, as it was in Valencia and to a certain extent in Australia, played a very, very heavy part in proceedings here for the 2 races of Superbike. This is the 3rd round of the championship, and poor old Pirelli coming in with a controlled tyre for this season have had their work cut out, bringing 5,900 tyres to this race alone. And given the wet conditions, very few of the top riders have a chance or had a chance before the season started to ride on wet, full wet conditions. But they're certainly getting it this weekend. It's been raining throughout most of the weekend. Let's hope it's not the same in Monza. Oschersleben coming up after that, Silverstone in June, and then Laguna Seca in the USA in July. And conditions once again wet for this. The track quite treacherous. The Autodromo Santa Monica in the wet for sure. Not an easy place to go. 2002, Troy Bayliss, the pole time. A lap record of 134.913. And another Troy Corsa, the man to watch today. Looking very strong indeed. Alongside me, James Hayden. Spitting with rain again, James. So what decisions to make on the grid in terms of tyres?
Yeah, I mean, it is a very, very difficult one. Obviously, it's patchy already. The sky looks like it could do anything. So really, it's going to depend on whether they declare it. And they have. They're just bringing the board out now. So they're declaring it a wet race. Now, what that means is, if you go out and you'll say on slick tyres and it rains, then they're not going to stop the race. Not like the first race, because they've already declared it a wet race. So really, you have to think very carefully. That makes it even more of a gamble, and I think you've got to go for a cut front, and money where your mouth is. I mean, at the moment you'd go for a slick rear, but you wouldn't want that if it rains, so maybe cuts in both to be safe. We'll
be keeping an eye on Laconi, who's just come to the grid, and obviously Steve Martin. And I just wonder if Steve Martin, as we take a look at the starting grid, Steve Martin in pole position, disappointing in race 1. Laconi not so. He got victory from 2nd on the grid. Keeley likewise right up there on the podium as he has been all season. He's 3rd. Pedicini, who fell in race 1, makes up the rest of the front row. Sanchini likewise in 5th, his best ever qualifying, but couldn't fulfill a result in race 1. Corsa in 6th, and so nearly a winner. 2nd place for Mullen, then Walker. Has them in 9th, Borciani in 10th, Haga 11th, good result for him. Nanelli 12th on the grid for race 2. Then Bontempi, McCoy, Liverani, Clementi. That's the 4th row. McCoy with work to do, especially having fallen in race 1. Pini likewise a faller in race 1, number 17 or 17th on the grid. Warwick Noland, the Australian, 18th. Zanini in 19th, and then James Toseland, 2nd in the championship, now having had a 10th position finish in race 1, but he is certainly the one we are watching very, very closely. Now, would James Toseland perhaps take a risk in a situation like this?
Well, again, I don't think you can really. I mean, everyone's taking a bit of a risk, but you can see the sort of fine. I mean, if you can see the sort of fine rain coming down there. The problem is, because this circuit stretched out over quite a long, piece of land. It can be raining in one part of the circuit and not in another. Where we're sitting here, we've got light spitting, but we can see in other parts of the track that it's actually raining a little bit. So it's going to be such a difficult decision.
Steve Martin in discussion with his team there.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be. Okay, well, again, it's brightening up a little bit from where the rain has been coming, so I guess people have got to hope it's going to pass over.
Well, the tyre warmer's still on, and it's going to be hard to work out just exactly who's going to do what. Slight drizzle around the track. It looks relatively fine in front of us here looking at the grid, but rain in the background. So tough times for these guys waiting for that decision to be made for the start of race 2. Regis Laconi of France, winner in the last race.
They're changing his rear tire as we speak then. So the Ducati boys are already changing their wheel on the grid. So, everyone, right up until the last moment, they're going to be on this tyre thing.
Ernesto Marinelli, his chief engineer, plenty of experience, and there is the back of that Ducati. Last-minute decisions being made.
You just see that's a rear suspension unit there, the Öhlins one, and with the data logging system on the side of it.
Well, they're not going to give too much away. Can you tell what that is?
It just says the size. I mean, again, they're all hidden by warmers, and literally the mechanics in the team will strip them off at the last moment, just so no one can tell them.
And there is a big psychological game between the riders and the teams on this particular decision, as you heard Troy Corser saying that he thought, having got a wet intermediate and gone out, well, he had full slicks, and that proved to be the right decision, but the two front boys had wet intermediates on the front, and he thought he had the better of them in race one had they chosen to do that. But we had a delayed start, and they were able to make amends and get onto full slicks.
Yeah, I mean, because there's two ways you can go. Basically, you could go out on slicks, it could rain, and you're in trouble, because you'd either have to come in and change tyres, or you just have to ride round. Alternatively, you can go out on sort of a cut inters or wets, hoping it's going to rain. It doesn't, you're in trouble. So that's the decisions they've got to make, and but you could compromise and go for something in the middle, which would be some intermediates on the front and back. Here's Keeley and
Sanchini.
Yep, having a chat. He'll be disappointed, Sanchini, because he was definitely in line for his first ever podium in the last one when he had his off. So disappointing for him. He's a good guy.
Frankie Keeley currently leading the championship going into this second race here at Misano, a position he's not used to being in. He didn't want to talk about it on the podium either.
Clever.
But, yeah, he doesn't want to get too far ahead of himself. Sanchini then looking for a better result than in race one. Still spitting here at Misano. Likewise Pedicini, another local favourite, who's just down the road. Lots of friends and family come to watch the 31-year-old. And he too knows he's got to make up for what has been one of his best qualifying positions. And even though he's on a 2002 Ducati, he knows that in the cooler conditions here at Misano, on a shorter circuit without the long straights, this is a best opportunity to score some very, very good points. Now the drizzle coming down heavier here in Misano, and James Hayden looking very cautiously out there, wishing, I'm sure he was out there, but also wondering exactly what the boys are going to do in terms of choice.
Yeah, when it's like this, actually, I feel quite safe sat here in a little commentary room, not having to worry and pull your hair out on which tyres are going to be best. But the other thing that could be really exciting about this is someone could go with a mix of tyres. Someone who we don't really expect.
Well, that's why I asked about Tozen, who's got nothing to lose from 20th.
Well, you say that. At the end of the day, he's still second in the championships by just 5 points. So, I think he has got stuff to lose, because, at the end of the day, he can make things worse, whereas he can't afford to. Really.
What about the master tactician Troy Corser looking for Foggy's first win?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be copying what he had.
Teammates last year, James Hayden and Troy Corser, and a wise move, I'd say. This man, a wily old wise head on his shoulders, and a very, very good tactician too in many ways.
Yeah, at the end of the day, what all these guys will have done, they'll have looked at again at not that you can read into it 100%, but they'll looked at the forecast, in the recent, this next part of time. They'll be talking to the super sport guys, what the conditions were like before. They'll probably have people on mopeds gone to every side of the track, have a look at it, what's the wind like, and they'll be doing educated guesses.
Well, I just had a report from the grid saying that given the fact that they're expecting more rain in the next few minutes, that it looks as though intermediate wets will probably be the choice of the day.
Yeah.
But again, hard to say. Somebody might take a risk.
Yeah, and actually I can just see...
Intermediate there for Kawasaki, yeah, just seen that.
Yeah. And the trouble is with this sort of, it's kind of gusting the weather over, so you get it raining a bit, then it seems to stop, and it's quite bright, and it's not cold, so it's tricky conditions.
Yes, you can see the umbrella still up, which means that the drizzle is hard to see sometimes on some of the cameras. The helicopter, which will be giving the onboard pictures, not sure whether it's going up or not yet, and conditions starting perhaps to get a little bit worse. I'm just wondering what it is like. The wind's changed direction. In fact, you saw the San Marino flags waving above the grandstand there, and it's changed about 3 times today. The wind now coming off the mountains off San Marino, whereas before it was coming off the sea. As we take a look at Christopher Mullen, cool as a cucumber, the young Aussie, just 21 years of age. No signs of worry on his face at all.
That's right, he's a good guy. He's doing fantastic. He's third in the championship. this new Honda as well has been, it's just been a revelation. So good stuff from Chris.
Yep, a few new trick parts on the Honda this weekend, but I don't know the ins and outs. They're not saying too much, but obviously they're moving it forward with every week.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's also obviously being developed in Japan and in the UK in the British Championship. So there's lots of sort of feedback, lots of knowledge coming around from teams all around the world. And let's not forget, it's also on the underground. It was told that it'd been developed for a couple of years on track anyway in Japan before they released it.
Mm-hmm. We just saw the safety car, or one of the cars actually from the Superstars Championship, one of the new championships for FG Sport, coming up here in Italy. As we take a look at Noriyuki Haga, the 29-year-old. Veteran of 12 wins and a runner-up in the championship, and a good set of teeth on him too.
Yeah.
He takes a bow. Thank you, Nori.
Yeah, and Haga had been sort of slightly disappointing this weekend, really, but he had a great first race, coming in fourth place, and he's fourth in the championship. So, really after kind of, just having a bit of a lackluster weekend, I think, probably the words for it so far. He's sort of pulled it out of the bag.
So times of tension for all the guys on the grid at the moment, just making that last-minute decision as to what to go with. We believe that wet intermediates will be the choice of most of the riders, given the fact that there is wet patches out there and the possibility of more rain to come. Frankie Keeley takes one look over his shoulder again towards the distance to the mountains. He was telling me earlier that the rain comes in two directions. It either comes from the mountains or from the sea. And at the moment, the wind has changed direction again. The rain had looked ominous from the sea, but it's changed direction again. Gary McCoy, talking of changing directions, needs to make sure that the direction he's going in is the right one for his race. He's had a bit of a problem this weekend, to say the least. As we take a look at the championship standings at the moment after 5 races. Keeley leads it with 72 points, but yet to take a win. Tozen, 67, dropping down and will start from 20th position on the grid. Vermeulen, Haga and McCoy, top 5. Then Laconi, then Walker. Corsa is in 9th position with 39 points, one ahead of the pole man, Martin, in 10th. It is intense in terms of how close it is. I've never seen the start to a World Superbike Championship so close as we have it now, but just what we want. Ducati leading the manufacturers' standings at the moment, but everybody else in pursuit. Obviously, plentiful supply, and there's a first look at some of the tyres. And James, what do you see there? Anything as a surprise?
No, I think, at the end of the day, it's spinning, and, it's not surprising to see they've all got heavily cut intermediates. And that way they've covered themselves. If it dries out, then they're going to be okay, and if it gets wetter, they're going to be reasonably okay. So it's the best of a bad bunch.
So still drizzling here in Misano. Round 3 of the championship, race 2. Poleman Steve Martin wanting to make amends for an 8th place finish from pole in race 1. Laconi lines up alongside him. He won race 1, and alongside him on that podium was Troy Corsa, who starts once again from the 2nd row. Bike number 4, the Foggy Patronus, looking for their first ever win in the series. They've taken a 3rd, they've taken a 2nd here in Misano. Can they go one better? Walker also on the same row, and between them, Chris Vermeulen, the young Australian. Chris Walker still yet on the bike, taking one last look at his bike. 30 seconds then, and we'll be away on the sighting lap, and alongside me, James Hayden, will get a much better idea of the conditions as soon as we tip into that first corner with these riders.
Yeah, it's still sort of, just hazy at the moment.
Not easy conditions at all as we watch the start of race 2 from Misano. Welcome to a wet and dreary Misano as the riders head off on their warm-up lap for race 2 of the World Superbikes, round 3. It's been raining throughout most of the day. This morning started with heavy rain. We then had a big downpour. In fact, race 1 was curtailed because of that rain. And again, there's been another storm in between. The gap between race 1 and race 2, and at the moment we have drizzle on track and obviously wet conditions. Alongside me, James Hayden, just sum up what you see on track, given the fact that most of the riders, we believe, have gone out on an intermediate safe wet.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, well, they've got a, intermediate, heavily cut intermediates, front and rear. And you can see the track is patchy. It's dry in places, it's wet in others, and it's more worrying. It's just the weather looks like it probably could rain again. So it's been declared a wet race, which means they can't change tyres. They're not going to stop it if the conditions do change. So people had to make a gamble and do it right now.
Regis Laconi won race 1 and moved himself from 10th to 6th in the championship. Steve Martin, who qualified pole, went down to 8th position. Not a good race in race 1 for him. Wants to make amends in race 2. Have to be careful, though, in the opening laps. It's going to be a little bit dicey out there here, Misano, and there is a chance of more rain to come. Frankie Keeley, the wise head of Frankie Keeley from Bologna, knows this track all too well, and he has been watching the skies with great interest to see what just might happen here. Holding the race here in April for the first time since the late 90s, and usually, of course, we're here in June when it's blisteringly hot. But this time, April, it's wet, and that's unseasonal also for this time of the year here in Italy, in Rimini on the Adriatic coast. It's usually quite warm, and it was last week. 25 degrees, sunshine, and not a problem. But all this weekend, it has been quite overcast, and a lot of time during practice, it's been raining. So not a lot of dry practice for these riders. Still learning the Pirellis. Pirelli coming here with 5,900 tyres. Several riders in the championship from the wildcard entries here from the Italian championship. But we're about to get underway for race 2 from Misano. Laconi coming to the grid, and likewise Steve Martin. Watch out for Troy Corser, number 4, second in race 1. Could he make history and take Foggy to their first victory? We'll soon find out. So then the bikes all lined up for race 2 here at Misano. Steve Martin came 8th in the last race. He wants to make amends. Laconi looking to increase on that 6th place in the championship, having taken the win in race 1. Corser looking to go one better. He lines up on the 2nd row. Can he get a better start? Away they go. A good start this time from Martin, but a better start also from Keeley. Keeley gets another blinder from the start, but doesn't take the whole shot. It will be Martin. Laconi slotting into 2nd place, but a good start from Corser. Corser goes into 3rd place. The Zongshen men moving up the grid really quickly. James Hayden alongside me. Not a bad start for Keeley, and a good one for Corser.
Yeah, I think that was actually Walker. Corser had his feet swept off the pegs, and of course actually went back a bit, but yeah, great start from Walker.
It was, yes, you're right, quite right. Chris Walker is the one who came from the back of the 2nd row. The number 9, Foggy Petronas man, there is Troy Corser. He's down in about 8th position at the moment, but it's Steve Martin, number 99 from Adelaide in Australia, who leads the way. The pole man, who did a brilliant job in qualifying to outpace Laconi, who's been so fast in both wet and dry conditions. But in race conditions, Martin has not performed. Laconi already looking up the inside of him. Sanchini with a good start. Vermeulen, likewise, we're looking at now. Not a bad start by him. On board with Frankie Keeley. Vermeulen then in 7th. Corser is in 10th. And Toseland already up to 11th place. James Toseland, who of course qualified in 20th position, now 2nd in the championship after race 1, is already vying for a top 10 spot. He's 11th at the moment. And you saw Sanchini as well. Sanchini dived up the inside of Walker to 3rd, and then he just dived up the inside of Laconi into 2nd. So great stuff from Sanchini as well. Well, Sanchini determined to do well. It's his best qualifying ever in 5th on the grid for this race at Misano. He knows it better than any other. He prefers left-handers, and that's what this circuit's all about. And he says this is his best opportunity of scoring some points, and he's certainly giving one of the championship favourites a run for his money there. 91, Leon Haslam of Great Britain is also up there, but James Toseland, we've had one faller there who is down, and that bike is destroyed. That's 2 bikes. That's Kamlek who qualified way at the back of the grid for this one, but Sanchini leads this race. Sanchini leads the race at the moment from Laconi, then Martin. Walker is 4th. Haslam is up to 5th. A great start by Leon Haslam. Laconi just came back up the inside then, so yeah, this is unheard of. I mean, firstly, Kawasaki's at the front of WorldSBK. When was the last time we saw that? And Sanchini just doing a brilliant job. But Laconi, this is important for the championship, and he's confident after his first race win, so he's just going to keep his head down. There's Leon Haslam, number 91 on the Renegade Ducati. His first time out here at Misano, so it's been a steady learning curve for Leon Haslam, and he's got better and better as the weekend's gone on, and it's very hard to do in these conditions, of course. Laconi then leading the factory man, number 55.
As you say, it's Haslam just behind Walker there, so great start from Haslam. This is Haslam's first ever weekend here at Misano, and you know, I spoke to him before the race, and he said he hopes it's going to be wet and tricky conditions because he didn't feel he could live with them in the dry, but you know, the wet's a great leveler, and he felt, you know, he'd be able to do something in the wet.
Well, the Foggy Patronus boys have had their tails up all weekend long. Steve Martin, once again, as he did in race one, starting to go backwards. But Sanchini, really the man to watch on that Kawasaki, and doing great in the British Championship, and now here in the World Championship as well. Great to see, but Laconi leads the way. Keeping an eye on Vermeulen. There he is, number 17, the all-yellow Honda bike. Walker 4th, Haslam 5th, Vermeulen in 6th, Haga just behind them in 7th, then Corsa now up to 8th. Toseland is 10th now. Keeley has dropped down to 11th, having had a blisteringly good start, so Keeley in real trouble. Yeah,
I mean, you have to wonder what sort of tyres he had on. Obviously, Keeley 3rd in the first race, and just very, very confident in the championship leader. So maybe, you know, we're talking to people taking gambles. It would have seemed unwise for him as the championship leader, but maybe he did.
Well, McCoy will also be keeping an eye on the man who won, of course, last time out in Australia. He's now currently down in 17th place. Not an easy weekend so far for the birthday man, McCoy. Not a great way to celebrate your birthday down in 17th place. Laconi still leading, though, and Sanchini going with him. And these two starting to pull away. Laconi's last lap at 1:49.071. And that is Nanelli out. Gianluca Nanelli, the Italian, who's had quite a good weekend, actually, but already falling foul to the conditions here in Misano. Rain throughout the weekend, and once again, drizzle here at the start of race 2. Here's what happened.
Oh, he's been flicked out the seat, got on the power too early, and then got on the grass, and you know, it is just like ice when you get on that on slick tyres, so down he went. And Laconi, so Laconi and Sanchini, they're the only two guys who broke into the 49s on that lap, and they're very, very, just 0.3 of a second between it. 49.0 for Laconi, 49.3 for Sanchini, then Martin, the next man ride, 50.6. Sanchini up the inside.
Well, they really are showing the factory Ducatis. Everybody says this is the Ducati Championship. Not so. Kawasaki have arrived, and arrived in style. Sanchini here in the wet, really showing Laconi, the Frenchman, around.
Yeah, and that's great stuff. I mean, yeah, they're still developing this bike every week. This, you know, this new green Kawasaki is, you know, it's being developed, you know, as they race, and they still got so much to do to it. But it just shows already that it's in the right hands. It can be competitive.
Well, like the Hawk British team, not a great deal of help from the factory team, and so they're kind of doing it themselves, the Patocchi team, and they're doing a pretty good job compared to Ducati out here. Regis Laconi desperate to score good points here, having had a terrible and torrid start to his season. And he really does want a double here, but Sanchini's not having any of it. He crosses the line in the lead with a 1:48.019. And these two, Laconi and Sanchini, the only two in the 1:48s at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, that's a great time from them. And you know, Sanchini has got to be a little bit careful, just because, you know, we saw him, he had a good 3rd place, and you know, with just 5 laps to go in the first race, and you know, down he went. So you know, it's brilliant stuff. I mean, it's just great to see a new person up there, but it's you know, we hope he can bring it home.
James Toseland up to 9th. If you're wondering what happened to him in qualifying, well, it was just an awful, awful weekend for him. Couldn't get the balance right, couldn't get the setup right, and ran out of time. As amazingly, the teammate Ivan Clementi of Sanchini already out. So one bike good, the other not. So I don't know if that's an omen for what's to come for Sanchini, but he's out there and leading at the moment. Yeah. But yeah, Toseland, going back to that, as we take a look at Noriyuki Haga moving up on Leon Haslam by the looks of things, and now chasing down Vermeulen. So Haga, now let's see if Haslam gets in behind Haga and tries to go with him. So the Brits going well at the moment, and going back to James Toseland, who had been leading the championship. Yeah, qualified in 20th and therefore didn't take part in Superpole. Never heard of for a factory rider, especially one leading the championship.
No, that's right. It is unheard of, and you know, not good for the old head. But you know, at the end of the day, you know, in a weekend like this, when you're second in the championship and doing your thing, there's only one thing you can do, and that's try and grab what you can. And Sanchini ran there. He ran off the dry line. There's a little dry line down there, about 2 foot wide. And
here comes Laconi.
Yeah, he ran off that and went on the wet. Laconi's gone wide, Sanchini's come back underneath him, and this bit is slippy.
Yeah, Ferrante Del Parco has claimed several riders, and almost claimed Laconi there as he looks over his shoulder. Sanchini puts his head down again and crosses the line. This time a 1:48.7 compared to Laconi's 1:48.9. but Laconi had a bit of a moment sitting up there at Varante del Parco, and he almost parked it himself there. But Sanchini head down now, really now going for it as they head towards the left-handers. And James, this is where the lap is made here at Misano.
That's right, it starts the build of this left. It's a second gear left, you come out, and as you accelerate to the next one, you're in third, and then you build speed through this. All the time he's building speed. Fourth, you can see them moving, and this is Laconi. He's diving up the inside, and Sanchini just keeps it on line, keeps it tight, and then moves through here. And this is the very, very slippy section that we were talking about just before the start-finish.
These have got to be the worst conditions to race in at all, because you've got a drying line now, you're on intermediate wet tyres. Some places are wet, like here, going into this left-handed loop, and then others are drying out, as we saw there at the final corner, Curva del Rio, or the last but one corner. Noriyuki Haga, though, doesn't care about the conditions. He'll ride at anything.
That's right, and he's just slipped up the inside of Vermeulen, so he's working at that. And it also looked like Tozen in the background was just, he just lagged onto the back of those. Mistake by Laconi.
Laconi made another mistake.
Big mistake.
Even the very best of the best making mistakes out here in Misano, round 3. Steve Martin, not out of the picture by any means, still in third at the moment. Walker chasing him down in 4th position. Then Vermeulen 5th, and then Haga making ground. Haslam in 7th. Corsa still out there in 8th position. Tozen is up to 9th position, so he's got some work to do if he's going to go past 2nd place in race 1 Corsa at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing about that, though, he's actually on the back of them. We saw in the first one, he just wasn't in the picture, but at least he's on the back of them, and that gives him, he can see the line of riders all the way. I mean, Tozen is only 6.9 seconds behind the lead at the moment, so yes, it's a lot, but compared to the first race, it's a blessing.
Well, Sanchini leads from Laconi as they cross the line again. Laconi still looking for a way past, but Sanchini saying no thank you. Still wet conditions, but Laconi going much faster through those two left-handers and just holding on to it nicely there. Sanchini not able to, well, he has responded, but he's not going to get past on this left-hander. And it's the first time in a long time I've said that the championship leader is in 12th position, and second in the championship, Tozen, is 9th. So Keeley really going backwards from a start there, having had about 2nd place from the first corner.
Yes, but I don't know what's happened, but on the last lap, Keeley did a 1:47.2, which was a second quicker than anybody else on the circuit and the fastest lap of the race so far. So maybe Keeley, maybe he did have go for a slick combination. It's taken a while to get the heat in his tyres, because he's certainly moving up. We've just seen Haga up the inside of Walker there, so Haga's just slipped into 4th place, so a good move. Haga's passed someone there on the last 3 laps, so it's definitely his favourite position on the track.
Well, he's just passed Walker, so he's up to 4th place and now chasing Steve Martin. So Noriyuki Haga, Nitro Nori, the man who took a victory at Valencia on his return to World Superbikes, doing a pretty good job so far. Laconi now starting to pull away from Sanchini. Martin still in pursuit in 3rd. Then comes Haga, and I would have said it's only a matter of moments before Haga is right up on Steve Martin.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, Haga, he's the man on the move. He looks very, very comfortable, and he's kind of, I think he's been quite impressive, today from his poor qualifying, the way he's sort of just taking his time and just sort of slowly pick people off. And he doesn't, obviously he always plays up. There you go, a little slide from him, but he just looks, he looks a more settled Haga.
Certainly does. James Tozen is also making ground, and I think he may well be past Troy Corsa at this point, and now in pursuit of Haslam. Across the line they come. Steve Martin, Haga, Laconi still leading. 1.9 is the gap between him and Sanchini. Martin is 3rd, Haga in 4th. Walker in 5th, then Haslam. Here is Frankie Keeley, and he is on the move by all accounts. A 1:46.576. So Frankie Keeley is the man on the move, and by look at that tyre, it looks as though he's on a wet though still.
He is, yeah. I mean, I don't understand. Maybe he just made a mistake and ran wide, or had a big slide. So you can never tell unless you see it. So at the end of the day, the important thing is he's coming back. He's on the case. He's the fastest man on the circuit.
He's the championship leader as well, and he's just put in that best lap last time out.
And you can see him just looking for way past Borgiani, and I think he's going to manage to do it coming up into the inside here. Both the bikes moving, but Keeley will be good in here, and he's worked it, and no, he can't quite do it this lap. Borgiani very deep on the brakes, and there's you can just see Vermeulen in front as well, so Keeley will be looking desperately for a way round.
Well, the championship has been blighted somewhat by the weather. Valencia, Australia, and now here at Misano, all playing a big part. Not easy for Pirelli with the control tyres, the first time out in the championship, but they've worked very hard, bringing over 5,900 tyres to this race alone. And look at Laconi building on that lead now.
Yeah, I mean, he actually lapped, he did a 47.0 compared to Sanchini's 49.1, so he took 2 seconds out of Sanchini on that last lap, so good riding from Laconi.
Well, after winter testing, this is what we expected. We expected Laconi to be dominant. Martin in trouble. Yeah, well, no, Martin going in past Sanchini now, so Sanchini obviously struggling a little bit. Going back to Laconi, though, we expected Laconi to be this fast, but he just hasn't turned it into results yet.
No, that's right. He just hasn't been consistent. At the end of the day, he's been, exceptionally fast everywhere we've gone, but he just has not been able to put it together. And it's what you need if you're going to be world champion. You can't be an inconsistent world champion. And there we see Tozen. So Tozen moving up now. So Tozen to 6. So from 20th on the grid, that's a brilliant ride from James Tozen.
And Troy Corser's gone with him, both past Chris Walker there. So Tozen doing very well indeed, up to 6th position. Pedicini there having not the best of races. He fell in race 1, but not looking as comfortable here in race 2. And Haga really pushing on, made another place up now. So we've got a real race on our hands now.
Yeah, and let's not forget Haslam in 5th as well. So I think Sanchini, again, it's hard to know. Did he go for an ultra soft tyre? Because it certainly seems now that some people are really finding the groove, and they're either fastest lap Laconi, 46.5. They're either adapting better to the conditions, or they just picked a slightly better suited tyre.
7 of the 25 laps gone then. Regis Laconi leads the way. But it's all going on behind him, that's for sure. The Frenchman, though, desperate to score points here, and he needs to. He's 6th at the moment, started the day in 10th. As we said, should be leading the championship if all had gone to plan. But mistakes made in Valencia, and likewise in Australia, have meant that the factory man, unexpectedly, is nowhere near the top. He's 6th at the moment, but that could all change today. His teammate Tozen has really cut his work out, having to start from 20th on the grid. Unheard of for a factory man, but he's doing a good job at the moment and has made amends so far. Steve Martin hanging on in there effectively. Still not overly convinced by Martin. He set pole position, but looked very ragged in race 1 and wasn't able to turn it into a decent result. Finished 8th in that one.
Yeah, and you can see Leon. Leon again will be looking far away past Sanchini. He's looking up the inside there, and I think.
Oh, and yes, this time, yes, Leon goes through.
And that was on power, to be honest. I mean, Sanchini's bike, Leon was looking for it, and Leon's been riding, great. But it was he's got a bit wide and letting back through. But Sanchini's bike is definitely down on power to all these Ducatis.
We're talking about Sanchini, who's raced this circuit literally all his career, and Leon Haslam has only seen it this weekend. So, according to Dad Ron, it's all been a learning curve. But Leon typically is coping pretty well, and that's not a place to go around the outside, but there you go, he's going to give it a go anyway.
Yeah, why not? But like you say, you can't go around the outside there. These lefts, the critical part of the circuit that we've been speaking about, and you can look up the inside now, and again, he just drafts past on power. Sanchini came out there just as well, so that's the way you want to pass. It's a lovely feeling.
Yep, underbraking into Tremonto goes Haslam again, heading towards Chieccia. The right-hander, the cambered right-hander, down through the gears again. Down into 2nd gear for this right-hander. And Sanchini not able to hold on to the pace of Haslam, now up to 4th place and in pursuit of his teammate. There he is, number 41, Noriyuki Haga, who is currently in 3rd, chasing Martin. Laconi still leading. And Corser trying to stay, if he can, with Tozen. Tozen up to 6. So the Brits are all well and up there. Walker doing a decent job of trying to hang on in there, having had that great start, which is a real shame.
Yeah, I mean, actually, he's in 10th place at the moment. You saw him having look around his shoulder in that last shot, and I just wonder whether he's, just maybe developing a small problem, because, he seemed a lot more competitive than that. But we'll have to wait and see.
Corser now all over the back of James Tozen, and Troy Corser, having had a 2nd place in race 1, is determined to see if he can turn it into another result. Across the line they come then. Pedicini just behind them. There he is, number 19, and Keeley already over the back of him, and Keeley now starting to make up more ground.
Yeah, Keeley was the fastest man on that lap, and he took half a second out of Laconi, who's leading the race. So he's definitely on the move. Keeley, he's really coming through.
Well, Keeley leads the championship at the moment with 72 points. Tozen has 67, but if he keeps this up, will score well, and that's an interesting battle between Keeley and there's the 10 colour. That's Vermeulen.
Is terrible for his championship. That really is. I mean, let's not forget Vermeulen's in 3rd with 66 points, and he needs every point he's got. That's they've obviously got a big problem with the tyre, big problem with the rear tyre.
Well, real shame for Chris Vermeulen. Has had 2 well, 2 great rounds to start off with, and great results in Australia, but there'll be no result from that one, that's for sure.
No, that's moved everyone up one. I mean, I'm slightly, it must have been really, really poor for him not to carry on, because the 3rd place in the championship, basically in bike racing, you've never got.
Oh, and this is not good to see. The tyre warmer's still stuck on the bike as he goes out on a slick. So, okay, so the track is obviously drying a little bit, and Mullen feels as though he can make better ground. And obviously, the tyre that he chose is worn away, because he wouldn't have made a decision like that, because he's got a lot of ground to gain, and I wouldn't have thought he's going to have time to do that.
I wouldn't have thought so either. I mean, it's like he's outside the top 20 and 18th place is 50 seconds behind, so he's really going to get a move on. I don't think you're going to be able to grab that sort of lap time, but it's certainly something to watch, and you've got to admire him for the braveness of the move.
Laconi has already crossed the line, a 146.7. Martin a 147.6, and Haga very, very close to him. He was 5/10 quicker than Martin last time out.
And that's Keely.
And here comes Keely.
Yep, just up the inside of Troy Corser there. So, Keely's still the man on the move, and actually still the quickest man on the circuit.
Talking to Haga earlier this weekend, he said, I've decided not to touch the bike this weekend. It seems to be better if I don't go near it. And maybe that was the problem. He's trying to learn this Ducati, and learning new tyres, learning a championship again, effectively, and just trying to get his head around everything. And he's just got a little bit more relaxed this time, and built up, and he's got better and better as the weekend's gone on, which, given the circumstances of the weather, isn't a bad job. The Renegade team has done a very good job this weekend of getting things right.
No, that's right, for him, and we've just seen Keely moving up another place, so that's Sankini, another scalp in his bag, and it's he's up to 6th now. He started the lap in 9th.
We're used to seeing Misano in bright sunshine of June, with blistering conditions and tyres falling apart because of the hot heat. But here in April, it's all been about the wet weather, and so far Keely's done a pretty good job. This man here, James Tozen's had a torrid weekend, having to start 20th position on the grid. Unheard of. But he's making amends, and he's already up to 5th position. So watch out for 52 James Tozen, 2nd in the championship, and now with the close attentions of Keely, very soon indeed, I'm sure. So 1st and 2nd on the road, very close indeed. Now Keely only a matter of millimetres away from the back end of that bike. Across the line come the leaders then.
Yeah, so Laconi still in the 46s, unlike Martin, Haga and Haslam, who are all in the 47s, but great ride from Haslam, let's not forget, in 4th place. Tozen in 5th place in the 48s. And then Keely's still in the 47s, and Keely actually lapped 0.9 of a second quicker than Tozen on that last lap. So
yeah, significantly. So Tozen's going to have the attentions of Keely very soon indeed. It'll be interesting to see how he deals with that. I don't think they'll be thinking of championship positions. They'll be both wanting points, but he certainly doesn't want to let him past. No,
and the other thing, you can see how much these bikes are moving now, because everyone thought at the start of this race it looked like it was going to rain. And so everyone's chosen like a soft intermediate cut tyre. And where normally in these conditions everyone would be racing on slicks, and because of it the tyre moves a lot more. You can see the grooves cut into the back of it there, and it just makes the bike move a lot more because it's used to shifting water and trying to create heat in the compound. So it's going to be, I think, this last second half of the race, we're going to see a lot of big slides coming on, and that's Keely past Toseland.
Yeah, very easily too. So Keely now moving up, and that goes in pursuit of Leon Haslam. 11 of the 25 laps gone here at Misano, round 3 of the championship, heading to Monza next time out, and Keely loves nothing more than that place. He's had some great results there, as he has here, of course. The Italian fans come out en masse to cheer him on. Policemen, young children, everyone taking photographs of him throughout the weekend, and he's always able to stop. There's a group of fans of his in the stands with hard hats on, with big number 7s. You've seen them, James?
Yeah, they're cool. And Keely's calling this bike is 998.5.
Yes.
Which I kind of like. So he didn't like the new 999 that everybody else is racing on. He preferred his old 998. But the trouble is the new 999 has got another 17 brake horsepower. So he's put that engine into this bike, and that's why he's calling it a 998.5. So
he went and got off the shelf. Fair enough. Haslam in 4th then, being chased by this man, Frankie Keely. Conditions drying out here, a definite dry line in several of the parts of the track here, especially on the final loop before the last corner. and that could catch a few people out. You can see the sprays of mist coming up on the little damp patches, and Keely's got to be also so careful to get it right.
And Keely's just put in the fastest lap of the race, so Keely 46.0. That's half a second quicker than Lecone, who's leading. So, you know, he really is closing in again now.
And likewise, Haga on Martin. He's gained 2/10 in the last lap, and you can see it visibly now.
Yeah, and Martin's slipping out there. So Haga definitely, he looks like the man on the move too. You're right.
And Haga scored well so far this season. He's definitely in contention at the moment. He is 4th in the championship with 56 points. And with Vermeulen out, who was currently in 3rd, this could change everything at the top of the leaderboard going into Monza. So Haga needs a result. He needs to be careful not to make any mistakes. Pushing hard on Martin, trying to force him into a mistake. Quick look over his shoulder to see how much time he's got to battle with Martin, because he doesn't want to get embroiled in a battle with Martin and then have somebody else catch him up.
You see them watch the rear end so they come out of here. It's just not much movement that time, but this is the sort of corner where it really, really puts so much strain on the tyres.
Ferranti del Parco onto the front straight they go. 3rd gear, 4th gear, up to 5th, flying down towards that first corner. Hard on the brakes just here, tipping it into the right-hander. Martin in 2nd place at the moment.
Wow. Sorry, Keely has done a 44.9. Compare that to a 46.8 of Lecone. So Keely is nearly 2 seconds quicker than anybody on the track, including the leader.
We're going to stay with Noriyuki Haga as he makes his attempt on Martin, although he lost a little bit of ground coming out of there. Winding himself up now as the back markers get out of the way of the leading bunch, and we'll be keeping an eye on Keely for sure. You're right, an incredible lap by him. Haslam's going to have his work cut out. We'll just see how much experience Leon Haslam has as the man who would literally, well, he's old enough to be his father, is Keely. Martin then tipping it in to Tremonto, and here is Keely.
He's done Haslam, and he's
flying.
He's absolute lightning, and you know, you wouldn't have thought it was possible, but at the moment, if he keeps up the 2 seconds a lap, which well, who knows whether he can. I mean, he'll be with Lecone within 5 laps.
The greatest enigma in the sport, Keely. You never know what he's going to do. He's leading the championship now, and faster all the time. Went into the first corner in 2nd place, dropped down to 11th place, and now is putting unbelievable laps in here. He made Haslam look as though he was standing still. So Martin's still trying to hold off Haga. They won't be aware yet that Keely's that close.
No, and this would be just what he wants. You can see at the next split. So you know, he's taken 0.9 of a second off Martin just this lap. You know, in the split checks we've seen. So there's Keely in the background. I mean, you know, he is coming at him so fast.
Well, Martin desperate to turn this into a decent result. He had such high hopes, having taken pole position. All his sponsors, Ducati and Sydney, were really delighted with him, and he was calling up home as soon as he got that pole position, but it hasn't come to the fore yet in terms of results, and that's what he wants. But Keely's the man to watch at the moment, the all number 7 man from Bologna, the 40-year-old who really is, well, he follows the slogan, the older he gets, the faster he is.
And again, you know, he's the only man, you know, he's the fastest man on the circuit again. He's in 45.5 compared to Lecone, the leader, on 146.4. So taking 0.9 of a second out of Lecone, and taking, you know, over a second out of the guys in front, Haga and Martin.
So then, after 14 laps of the 25, Lecone still leads it. Just put in a 146.4. Martin is 2nd, just from Haga, then Keely. Keely up to 4th, having been down in 11th place at one point. Haslam 5th. Tozen brilliantly from 20th up to 6th. Corsa is 7th. Petticini is in 8th position. Sanchini, who led early on, has dropped down to 9th position. Borciani 10th.
Look at Keely's body language. I mean, you don't often see him looking like this. You can see as he's going in the corners, he's coming out, he's so hunched up. You know, you can really see, he really wants this. He looks really mean for Keely. He's always smooth, he's always neat, but he doesn't often look this mean.
Well, he also looks so determined, as you say, for the whole season. And he said to me earlier this weekend, he said, I can't believe it. You know, in 7 years in the championship, in the last 7 years, he's never been this high up at the beginning of the year. He's usually having to fight his way back, usually comes good at the end of the year when the bike comes good. And he's usually had a few crashes early on that have put him back. Not this year. He's been probably the most consistent man, and he's got a chance of extending that championship lead if he gets a good result today.
And look at that gap. I mean, he's just on them now. He's going to come out here. This is going to be another shockingly fast lap.
Lecone has crossed the line. Across the line goes Martin. Then comes Haga. Keely's right with him now, and a 145.2 compared to Haga's 147.5. So there he is. It's just a matter of moments, surely. And Haga is on a completely different world than Keely at the moment. He is 2 seconds faster almost. And it's only a matter of time now.
He's also over a second quicker than Laconi. So, again, I mean, Keely is the fastest man. They got 10 laps left, so... Yeah, he's...
well, 10 laps left, he's 10 seconds off Laconi, I wonder.
Exactly, that's what I was just thinking myself.
Well, Haga will do himself, well, do as much as he can to make himself as wide as he can now. But Keely here on the straight will surely have the power, and he does, goes past into Tramonto, into second gear, and now in pursuit of Steve Martin, the pole man. Frankie Keely with a bit between his teeth, the Italian stallion from Bologna. The whole family are here cheering him on, and this is where he loves to perform, in front of his home fans here. The team, PSG, are based in San Marino. This is the race they want to win more than any other. Monza, great, but this is the one that they want to win.
Martin, it's a horrible position when you're in a position now like Martin. You can just see on your pit board, the gap behind is coming down and down and down. You know someone's closing in on you. You know someone's going to make a pass, but you don't know who. He'll be hearing that because these Ducatis are so loud when you're riding. You've got the wind noise and everything, but you can still hear them blipping through the gears. And, you know, I mean, he's going to be passing very quickly.
And what's amazing about Frankie is that, you know, he's been, you know, bleating on about not having the power, not having the machinery, not having the factory stuff, and finally he's got a 999 and the, you know, the equality with the Pirelli tyres, etc., etc., etc. And he decides that he's not comfortable on the bike. He wants to go back to last year's bike, and he's looking pretty comfortable now as he flies by Steve Martin and into second place.
Yeah.
So Frankie Keely amazingly has gone from 11th to 2nd, and now goes in pursuit of Regis Laconi, who just upped his pace a little bit to 146.149 last time out. The PSG boys looking on, looking hopeful after lap 16 now to 25.
Yeah, as you said, he's 11 seconds behind Laconi, and they did an almost identical time in the last lap, so this will be interesting though. This is the first time he's had clear track.
Look how much time he's already taken out of Martin.
The other thing is his bike. If you watch Martin's bike looks like they adjusted it for the wet. The suspension looks softer. Look at the way it's moving there even. It just looks a much softer setup, but Keely's just still looks taut, looks neat, and I don't think Keely adjusted his bike at all for this race. I think he still kept it on dry settings.
Well, he's looking very, very comfortable at the moment and really putting the hammer down now in the latter stages of race 2 here at Misano, round 3 of the championship. There's your leader, 55, the Frenchman Regis Laconi. He has an 11-second lead over Keely at the moment. Keely's had to do the hard work, had to come through the field. The teammate to Laconi is Tosin. He is 6 behind Haslam, but some 5 seconds off Haslam at the moment. Haga still holding on to 4th, and Martin just holding on to 3rd at the moment. Look at that slide from Laconi.
Yeah, nice.
He's been quite comfortable there all weekend. He loves to slide it into that corner. He almost uses it as a brake as he comes in there.
Absolutely. I mean, he does drift the bike quite a lot. And anyway, and one of the things we found with these new Pirelli tyres is they do move a lot more. And you see the riders here spinning it up much, much more. It's another 46.1 by Laconi. So it's another, you know, that's actually his fastest lap on that lap.
Well, the gap, a 144.979. That's so much quicker by Keely than Laconi. Laconi will be aware that Keely is catching, and I wonder if he's thinking whether Keely, as he comes through the back markers, which could again be a factor if he's not careful, because Misano isn't that easy to get past the back markers, and Keely really is laying it down now. 9.8 seconds the gap between the two of them.
Look at the smoke pouring off his rear tyre then as he lit it up, and you're right, back markers could really pay a... Now this is good as well, because Keely's bike is moving nothing
anywhere near like that, no.
No. So for Keely, this is really good news. And back markers, going back to that, back markers could really play a part, because if he gets held up, or Keely does, then it could end the charge. But in the right way, then it could really narrow it up. Watch his back wheel here in the smoke.
Great bike control by Laconi, using all the power, and it's one of those parts of the circuit. That's where you make up the time on this particular circuit here at Misano, that left-hander. But it also takes a fair bit out your tyres when you start doing that as well.
No, it does, but his tyres are definitely off. And I think that all Regis is doing, he can't think about saving his tyres now. He's got 8 laps left, and he's just got to get it down. He's just got to try and keep that gap. It's 9.8 seconds at the moment between him and Keely, and he's got to try and keep it, and it doesn't matter how he does that.
And I think it's going to be less as we come round to complete this lap. Another slide from Laconi into Varanta del Parco. Second gear. hard on the gas into third, just touching the white line there and heading towards the start-finish. A quick look at the board. Keely's in the background as we see. Tense moments for Ernesto Marinelli, his chief engineer, with 7 laps to go. Look at that bike sliding. He doesn't have a lot of grip out there at all, and Keely's looking a lot smoother, and he's got the gap down to 8 seconds now. A 1:44.434 by Keely last time out. Leccone's in a little bit of trouble here if he's not careful, but he's got a gap enough now to not get too worried at this stage. But Keely is coming, and coming fast.
Well, I mean, that was 1.6 seconds a lap, quicker than Leccone in that last lap, and I think Leccone has got to worry, because at the end of the day, at this rate, Keely will catch him. Keely is just riding awesome, and you can see Leccone sliding about everywhere. We're going to see there's Keely in the background now. You can just see him at the top of the picture, just coming in. So that's the first time. They were miles apart when we first started.
It was 8 seconds. It's down to 7.7. Keely, the man on the move, the all yellow PSG San Marino bike. An old bike, a 998, convinced against an F04, and there's a thought. 2 years older, his bike, but still going strong.
Yeah, I mean, they're rebuilt all the time, so it might be an older model, but it's like brand new. And actually now we're also seeing Keely's bike move a lot. That was the first time we'd started to see Keely's bike moving. Not quite as much as Leccone, but it's got a slightly different style. But, you are seeing them both move.
This is really treacherous for poor old Regis Leccone. This is what he wanted, a comfortable race. He'd done all the hard work, got an 11-second lead, and was quite comfortably headed towards victory. And then suddenly he sees the board, and Keely, out of nowhere, is coming. The all-yellow, bumblebee-like Keely from nowhere here at Misano. And Leccone will know all too well just what this man can do here at Misano as he crosses the line again. This time a 1:45, so he has upped the pace, a 1:45.322, and there the team telling Keely exactly what they think. They don't need to give him any more signals, and again a second quicker. It's down to 7.3 now, James.
Yeah, so he took 0.7 of a second off on that lap, and obviously Leccone has responded, and he has to. Now it'll be interesting just to see, can he keep it up, and can he force him into a mistake, because we have seen Leccone make mistakes so far this year. He's done it twice, and at the end of the day, I think anything can still happen in this race.
Well, Leccone's keeping his head down. The Frenchman, remember, he'll have forgotten that he's only trying to score points. So what he said about this weekend, I don't care where I finish, I want to score points. He's not thinking that now. He wants a double win, and that's, also historically, Misano has been the place for the double win. Corsa got a double here in 2000. Bayliss did the same in 2002, and of course Foggy's done it himself. And but history books won't be a problem in terms of Leccone's thinking. He just wanted to keep Keely off his back at this point.
Absolutely, and he's got to think championship though. You're right, because whatever happens, this has been his problem so far. He's made too many mistakes, and if he wants to be world champion, he can't afford to keep doing that. And again, we just see Keely breaking to the back of the picture. I mean, Keely is still really keeping on that pressure, but 6.9, so he's just pulled another 0.4 off him in that split. So he's still the man. 6.9, 6 laps. It's going to be close. It's going to be real close.
Unless we forget.
Look at him smoke it out of there again as well.
I say, lest we forget, these are mistakes have been made while leading as well for Leccone.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, both times when he's crashed, he's been out in front.
So then, across the line comes Regis Leccone. David Todozzi, very interested, watching out where Keely is. He tips it in to the first corner, Misano, at 1:45. Keely does a 1:43.896, and the gap is down to 5.6 seconds here in Misano. What a story we would have if Frankie Keely could come from 11th to first place, but he's certainly having a go at it. He goes past Fuetas, the back marker. Vermeulen back out on track.
This is incredible. You've really got to put this into context. I mean, Martin and Haga, who are in 3rd and 4th, they're doing 4 seconds a lap slower than Keely, and they're in 3rd and 4th on the podium. I mean, Keely is so much quicker than anybody else on the track. It's unbelievable.
Into Tramonto one more time, down to 2nd gear. There is Keely. You can visibly see how much closer he is. He tips it in, gingerly through there. A little bit of throttle. Back on the power, up to 3rd. A little click to 4th now. Head down for the 40-year-old from Bologna. Chasing Regis Leccone, the Frenchman. Steve Martin, incidentally, not that we've seen him, still in 3rd place. Haga still in 4th, and Haslam still a commendable 5th place. having qualified on the 3rd row. Toseland is still in 6th place. So James Toseland, who had led the championship going into Misano, is still in the points and good points. Corsa likewise is 7th, Petticini 8th, and Pini, the wildcard entry, is in 9th place. Bocciani is in 10th. Walker, incidentally, 12th position at the moment. McCoy has made no movement from 16th. A terrible weekend for the man celebrating his birthday.
Yeah, it is, like you say, McCoy's been a real disappointment. You know, in all honesty, he's been sort of 23rd, 24th in qualifying, popped up one lap to put him in soup pole, but never could challenge.
Laconi responds again, this time with a 1:45, but it's not enough. Keeley does a 1:43.594. Now the gap is 4 seconds, and Laconi is starting to sweat visibly.
4 seconds, 4 laps to go. So yeah, I mean, Laconi's doing all he can. I mean, he's going quicker. It's another personal best for Laconi, but he just, you know, Keeley's on it, seems to be on another track, and they just lapped McCoy.
Yeah, unbelievable. The man who won the last race in Australia has just been lapped. That just shows you what kind of a weekend he's had. Keeley now, he just looks over his shoulder to see where Keeley's coming, and obviously he doesn't want to get in the way. But that just shows you the swings and roundabouts we've had here in World Superbike. McCoy being lapped, having won the last race.
That's unbelievable. And Keeley's taken 0.7 of a second off him on that last split as well. So again, you know, he's just riding incredible. I mean, this really, you know, you've just got to take your hat off to Pierre Francesco Keeley. Like you say, the 40-year-old veteran, he's done so much, and yet, you know, he can still pull out and be this hungry. You know, it really is just brilliant. And I hope Sala, number 45 in front of them,
gets out of the way. Look at how ragged poor old Regis Laconi. He really is on a bucking bronco out there. And the Frenchman doing everything he can to keep that factory Ducati straight. But it just doesn't want to play the game. And Keeley is getting ever closer to him.
Yeah, and Keeley's just been held up a fraction of a second. You can see that's the first time we've seen the gap raise at all. So just was held up a little bit by Sala there.
Number 55 completes another lap. Frankie's team willing him on. A 1:44.9, a 1:43.8. So the gap now 3 seconds with 3 laps to go. He's managed to keep it a second every lap. He's doing what the impossible, really. We said at 11 seconds the gap was, with 11 laps to go. We said, well, not really possible, but he's doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you say, he's raised the game every time. And Laconi is also, his last 5 laps have all been personal best. So it's not like he's hanging around. You know, you can see it. There's smoke pouring off the rear tyre. He's sliding it everywhere, and yet still relentlessly Keeley pursues him.
Well, Keeley's fastest lap is over a second quicker than the man leading the race, and there it is. The foot just comes off. It's quite a thing we've seen quite a lot with Laconi. It's quite natural for him to do that. Another back marker in the way. Can this time Keeley make advantage of it?
Well, it just depends on where Laconi catches the back marker, because he could catch him just wrong. If he catches him going into this,
yeah, he could well do, catching it going into Verante Arena, and here it is, that Bontempi, the Italian. He'd love Keeley to come past.
And again, you can see another 0.5 on that little split. So you know, Keeley, just look at him. He's got it crossed up, down, moving.
Come on, 2.1. He's got to go for it now, surely.
Absolutely, he will.
Well, we're in for a real grandstand finish here in Misano. Look at the smoke pouring off the back tyre. How long will that last?
Excellent. Well,
Regis Laconi steaming into the last corner, Verante del Parco. And on to the start finish. He won't be looking at his board too closely. He knows, he can feel the Italian breathing down his neck. Frankie number 7. Avante, 2 laps to go. Laconi from Keeley, Martin still 3rd, Haga 4th, Haslam 5th, Toseland still 6th, and Corsa 7th. The battle is all about 1st and 2nd place.
And that's 1.7 seconds, so 2 laps to go, 1.7 seconds. It's come down from over 11 seconds, and Keeley was in 11th place at one point in this race as well. It has been unbelievable.
James Hayden will be back on a Ducati himself in just a week's time in the British Championship. How about this for a taster?
Yeah, nice. Can't wait to get back.
So Laconi now running out of time and space, because quick look over the shoulder there by Bontempi. He puts his leg out to say, you come past, guys, I don't want to get involved in this. Keeley, though, will try and get in front of Bontempi as quickly as he can.
He's got to stay out of the way, so another half second off more, 0.6. Out of the way, Bontempi, let him through.
Yeah, well, now's the time you wish you had horns on these bikes. Laconi trying to use the buffer of Pier Giorgio Bontempi, the Italian, but as soon as he sees it's Keely, I'm sure he'll get out of the way. He hasn't got out of the way yet.
He hasn't moved. Oh, blimey.
Keely getting slowed down here by Bontempi. This is not good for his battle.
Not good at all. Well, Bontempi should have looked. I mean, this isn't good riding. He's an experienced rider, and you know, he's just dived through at the inside. Then he's not going to be happy with that. So it's going to be around a second, 0.9 of a second, last lap.
Oh, how close is it? We've got a sprint on here at Misano for round 3. We've had some fantastic racing around the world today, and here in Misano in Italy, it's just as good. Across the line comes Regis Lacconi in the factory Ducati, the 2-year-older bike of Frankie Keely, and a lot older in age in terms of experience. Frankie now on the final lap. Can he do it in front of his home fans here in Misano? The San Marino race is, of course, his home track, and PSG, his team's home track. He would love nothing more. And look, he's right on the tail now. Surely he's going to have a go. And already they're catching. It looks like another backmarker. That looks like Tozen for a second. It's not. But they've got past him. James, where does he try?
He's going to try. He's going to try the finish of these lefts. Not oh, look at him. He's gone. No,
up the inside. Unbelievable stuff. Flat out in 5th gear now. These two, the Italian and the Frenchman, they've got to have a go. Down towards Tremonte for the last time here at Misano. Here comes Frankie Keely. He takes the lead here in San Marino. Unbelievable. Well, he's done it. Regis, can he respond, or will he just... I mean, I wonder what he'll think now.
I don't think he can. I mean, also, let's not forget on that last lap, he did a 43.1. So, you know, again, he's another second quicker. You've seen him. Look at the distance he's put in. It's incredible. I mean, I bet Regis can't believe it. An 11-second lead and taking on the last lap.
Well, who'd have thought it? He started this race second into the first corner, then dropped back dramatically. We thought he had a problem mechanically, and then bit by bit by bit, he's clawed his way through and had a miraculous job of catching this man, Regis Lacconi, who, let's remember, had an 11-second lead over literally everyone in the pack. He was comfortably headed for his second race win of the day, but no, Frankie Keely, the man from Bologna, said no thank you very much. I'm leading the championship, and I continue to do so as I come across the line. Frankie Keely takes victory here in Misano. What an historic victory it is, and that means that he will lead the championship going to Monza. Book your tickets.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. That is just superb. The crowd are just going wild. I mean, that is, you know, he's just a star, isn't he? There's no two ways about it.
Absolute superstar, both of Grand Prix and here in Superbikes for many, many years. Keely takes victory, Lacconi takes second, Steve Martin, the pole man from Australia, takes third. Noriyuki Haga does a commendable job, likewise his teammate Haslam, who's taken 5th. And believe it or not, that last lap was a 1:42.997. That was the quickest lap of the race.
Yeah, brilliant. There's Haslam as well, so that's great
James
stuff.
Tozen comes over the line significantly with a big wheelie in 6th place. So what a storyline we've had here. The championship leader at the beginning of the day, James Tozen, had to start in 20th and has come good at the end to take 6th place and some important points. But the celebrations, I'm sure, here in Misano will continue long into the night. Frankie's wife there getting big hugs. PSG team, and I was asking him about the mechanics he's got in this team, and it is a group of men he has been around, and you know, he's been in several different teams as Frankie, but the guys he's got around him now are guys he's had around him for a long, long time. People he believes in, people who trust his abilities, and when he goes out and says, I want it set up some way, and he's certainly set his bike up in a different way than most people today, maybe taking a little bit of a risk somehow, and as James quite rightly pointed out, it might have been the fact that he set it up for a dry race and put intermediates on, but whatever it was, Frankie Keely was without doubt champione here in Misano. Fantastic stuff by him, and he's just proved yet again that the older he gets, the faster he is.
Yeah, I mean, again, and also we're talking about, if you're going to be a world champion, I mean, that was a world champion's ride. You know, that was really what it's about, and you know, it's something that, to be honest, I don't think any of us have, you know, no matter him being there or thereabouts, he always has been, but none of us have really thought, could he be world champion again, you know, this age?
Yeah.
And yes, I mean, riding like that, of course he can.
Fabrizio Parovano, our man who's taken him on many years down the road, and of course Keely, you know, you forget that Keely is now the 2nd most experienced rider ever in World Superbikes. He's done more races than anyone bar Doug Poland. There, that just gives you some idea of how long he's been racing out here. Keeley then now leads the championship with 97 points ahead of James Tozen, who I have to say I'd take my hat off to. He could have been so much worse starting from 20th. He's managed to hold on to second place. Laconi jumps up to third place in the championship. Vermeulen, then Haga, McCoy, and Martin and Walker are the next men out there. And all of those next men have got a good chance at Monza. But importantly, Laconi is right where he needs to be, and Tozen hasn't lost too much ground. Haslam still in 11th place, Corsa down to 10th. Bit disappointing for the Foggy Petronas team, who've come so good this weekend, and we really thought after that second in race one that they were going to get a victory, maybe here, or certainly some big points.
Yeah, I mean, it's still got to be a good ride. And we just also glimpsed Vermeulen then, and we saw Vermeulen come in. Vermeulen actually managed to bring home 12th. So, you know, he's
scoring good points.
Scoring points, which is just, you know, is brilliant, really.
Well, and it's brilliant the fact that he actually passed Walker, who obviously wasn't on slicks, but you know, he managed to get back out there, lose a lap to Walker, and still gain it. Yeah. Celebrations, smoke going off on the pit lane here. Regis comes in to park Ferme. Well, he seems still delighted, and I think the point is he's kept it up, and he's taken 20 points, and he's now third in the championship. That's the important thing to the Frenchman. You don't win the championship in one weekend, and perhaps if we've got a criticism of Keeley, it's what's happened in the past, but not this season. He's been Mr. Consistent, scoring great points. He got a second place, of course, in the first round in Valencia, fourth place in race 2, then another podium in Australia. Now here, victory at last.
Look at that tyre. I mean, that is...
Yeah, you won't be going down that on the road, will you?
That's what you get when you spin them up.
So the Italian flag, doffing his cap, literally. But a great victory for Frankie, and you know, he's such an emotional guy, and I'm sure we'll see plenty of emotion on the podium. And you know, the longer he stays in this sport, I think the more he enjoys it, and he's just one of those guys that his motivation has not ceased. The fans absolutely adore him. The banners are all like this, are all around the circuit, and Steve Martin can at least smile about the fact that he's got a podium out of this. But Ernesto Marinelli giving him a big handshake, Laconi. And I think it's just relief, really, for the factory team after, you know, what happened with Tozen and obviously the start for Laconi. It's now back on track, perhaps, for the factory team. Yeah,
no, very much. And yeah, I mean, he's closed in. He's just 7 points behind sort of Tozen in the second now. And when you think where he has been, it's a great weekend. 45 points. You know, you can't complain. You could only be 5 points better.
Well, an amazing set of events here. And it makes you wonder. I'll be interested to hear what Frankie says.
Yeah.
Because to go literally from 2nd to 11th. And that's great sportsmanship. Laconi knows he's been beaten by the better man on the day and is quite happy to accept that fact. And that's the beauty of World Superbikes. Great camaraderie between all of these men. And look at the emotion on Frankie Keeley.
Yeah, that's
in tears.
It's probably the greatest ride of his life.
Let's just savor this moment with Frankie, because such a big emotion from this man. Yeah, she suffered a lot. The ups and downs of Frankie Keeley's career. But he always bounces back, and he's always there with a smile, has time for an autograph or a photograph, and always an interview. He'll always be honest, he'll always tell you his opinion, and that's what's made him literally one of the most popular riders in the world. And wherever he rides, it doesn't matter whether it's Australia, Valencia, or here at home in Italy, he is so popular. When he comes to Britain, you wouldn't believe the amount of British fans that come out and cheer him on. He's so popular there, and I'm sure with Silverstone just around the corner, they'll be very pleased back in Britain to see those victories. Here are the highlights of that. Steve Martin clicking first gear, but not getting the best of starts. Nanelli going down early on, number 69. Sanchini did a good job of holding on to the lead and holding off Laconi for a while. But he wasn't strong enough to hold the fiery Frenchman, who finally took the lead into that left-hander. He built on the lead. Frankie went backwards for a while, but regained himself somehow and started clawing his way through the field. Bit by bit, he picked them off, including Haga, who was having a pretty good race himself until he saw the all-yellow Keeley coming by. The team continued to egg him on. Steve Martin thought he was on for another good result. But Frankie said, no, not this time, mate. And breezed past him. Lecconi in all sorts of trouble, smoking the rear tyres, the front tyres, and really having a bike out of control. The recalcitrant Ducati really in trouble there. And eventually, it was just a matter of time. 11 laps, 11 seconds, and Keely did the job. A superb job by Frankie Keely of Bologna. The man going past on the last lap of the race to take victory. Viva Frankie. Your day is yours here at Misano, without a doubt. And he takes his bow. Well, Autodromo Santa Monica has seen some great races in the past, and I think that's going to go down in history as one of them. Keely taking victory here at home. Lecconi second, Martin third, Haga taking a strong fourth place, and likewise the Renegade team, a good performance, fourth and fifth. Tosland, very good for sixth, having started in 20th position. Pini, the wildcard man, getting 9th position. Vermeulen, amazingly, taking 12th, ahead of Walker. Well, this championship continues to amaze, especially when you consider that the last winner in Australia, Gary McCoy, was lapped here this afternoon in Misano. Such are the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, literally, of this championship. And now, believe it or not, the sun's come out. Maybe it's because of Frankie. But there hasn't been much of it this weekend. But it's just in time for the podium. Steve Martin, well, he can afford himself a little bit of a smile. Not a bad weekend, given the circumstances. But from pole, he'll be disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, as you say, I mean, he felt he could win, and you know, he hasn't pulled it off. But at the same time, he's on the podium, and there's Lecconi. Lecconi's well chuffed. I mean, it's the first meeting this year. He's finished both races. You know, he hasn't crashed. He hasn't made a mistake, and you know, he's taken back a lot of points from the championship.
Yeah, that shows his. Look at the roar from the crowd.
There he is. There's your man.
Leading the championship. And, you know, it's great. Lecconi could be quite sour-faced about the fact that he was beaten quite soundly by Keely, but he's not at all. As you said, he's thinking about the championship, showing some real maturity.
Yeah.
And great to see. I hope that these battles between these two continue for a long, long time, because it'll be great to see as the year goes on. And what a thought, going to Monza with Keely as the championship leader.
He loves it there as well. I mean, he's been so strong there in the past that, you know, you wouldn't expect anything else, would you?
Well, you can forget the power. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, he's always going to be powerful there. He's just something about that place that is very majestic, and to all Italians, and above Misano for sure. Monza is the home of motorsport, and Keely will want to be doing that again in a few weeks' time for sure. But he's done it here in Misano, and what a time to do it. You know, he's been there or thereabouts over the years and just has never quite done it. And who knows, 2004 could be the first real chance we see of Keely being right up there and vying for a championship. Huge crowd here in the pit lane to cheer him on. And I'm sure the Italian national anthem for both Ducati and Frankie will never have sounded so sweet as it will in a few moments' time. Popular or what?
Yeah, they're all crowded over the pit wall, and yeah, that's great.
Yep, celebrations for Frankie Keely, that national anthem ringing out here over Misano. And the crowds have come out to cheer him on. It's an April day that's been wet and miserable throughout most, but it's now clearing up, and they've got a little ray of sunshine certainly in Frankie's victory, and I'm sure they'll all go home with a warm feeling in their hearts this afternoon, and it's just what they want, is to see a homegrown hero like Frankie take victory.
Look how he dumps it on him.
I'm sure there'll be plenty of champagne spilling out, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what he's going to say about that victory. In terms of the manufacturers' standings, Ducati with 6 wins, leading with 150 points, Petronas 71, and that's an amazing thought when you think about it, ahead of Honda. Of course, not a factory entry by Honda. They have 70 points. It's going to be an interesting battle between Petronas and Honda. Vermeulen only on 1 bike. Kawasaki 4th, then Suzuki and Yamaha. So the riders, the top 3 riders headed towards the interviews. Keely still celebrating out on the podium. I can just see it at the corner of my eye. And in terms of that championship, let's just say it again. Keely leads going into the Italian round at Monza with 97 points. Tosin has 77 and has done a great recovery job, really. Laconi is 3rd, then Vermeulen, Haga, McCoy and Walker. Borciani 9th. Corsa is in 10th position. Haslam 11th with 40 points. So little Leon Lassam's done a good job this afternoon as well. And not many points for the backmarkers and the few wild cards there that have come to Misano. So the riders headed towards the interview position. Kelledge will have a quick chat, starting with 3rd place. But I'm sure most people will want to know just exactly what Frankie thinks of that victory. And he's had several, he's had plenty, but that, I'm sure, will remain one of his greatest, without a doubt, James.
Yeah, and you could just see, I mean, all the emotion overflowing anyway. It just, I think it's, you know, it was how hard he worked. And also in those sort of conditions when he set the pace, you know, he realised you could go a bit quicker, and no one else adapted as quickly as he did. And even when Laconi started to respond, and you know, it was hats off to Laconi, because Laconi just did personal best after personal best, but it wasn't enough. Keely was just too much, and you know, it was just a brilliant, like I say, it was a classic. It was a classic race. It was so, you know, I was just, you know, great to see it.
So James Hayden getting all revved up for his ride on a Ducati, very similar to the one that both Frankie and Laconi were on this afternoon. Next weekend at Snetterton in the British round. And Keely.
Here we are.
Here we are with those interviews. Kelledge with Steve Martin.
Steve Martin. Here we are on the third place today. A tremendous race, I think you'll agree, and great entertainment for the fans and also the people here around. What was your view of the race?
It was a lottery for everyone, but in the end, I was pretty happy with my choice of tyres. And after the first race, to get on the podium again, it was great for me and great for the team. And I also want to say the other 2 guys rode really well today, so they deserve to be 1st and 2nd. I finished 3rd. I can't complain.
Were you on the full wets or the intermediates today?
I had full wets on, so in the end, I was just sliding around all over the place. It was fun, though, I must say. I really enjoyed, you know, sliding around out there. So pity it wasn't for 1st place, but maybe next time.
And obviously a great boost for your team.
Yeah, the team was feeling a bit down because we've had 5 chances of a podium now and we've only made 2 really, so hopefully we can continue on this way. I really hope so, because we deserve it and need it, you know, like the team's working really well.
For the moment, thank you very much, Steve Martin. And we'll go over now to Regis Laconi. Regis, when you've had your quick drink, obviously thirsty workout, that was some race.
Yeah, it was so funny to ride, so hard, you know, because I made 24 laps on the first position, and Frankie passed me on the back straight, and yeah, he chose the intermediate. Was the only one. I think he was maybe the only guy can do it today, because with his experience, he finds to go slowly on the beginning and try to go fast when the track's coming dry. I'm so happy because I give my best, and I am at more than 100% of the race, make a big slide everywhere, and I do my best. On the condition I am today with the wet tire, I cannot do better.
Did you have good pig signals? Did you know it was Frankie, or did you just think some other rider?
No, when I know the speed that I am with the wet tire on the dry, I say I know will be Frankie for sure. And I say, okay, try to push. And but I give my best. I cannot do better. I am more than 100% for the 2 last lap, and Frankie was too fast today.
He's not bad for an old man, is he?
Yeah, he was old, but still very strong, you know. You can see today. And I think he's doing also good experience, and I think he's the only guy who can do it today with the intermediate tire and go at this speed.
Thanks very much, Regis Laconi. We'll go over to our racer. Frankie, after the first race, you had champagne in your eyes. This time, I think it was something else.
Yeah. Honestly, I get the choice from the tire from the sky, because last week my grandmother died, so she helped me on the choice, and she was with me on the bike all the race, and she said, "Don't worry, we go to win. Just wait at the beginning, and we go each other to win." So I give this present to her, and also to everybody, like, follow me, and they give me this potential for continue to race like that. Thank you to all my team, and to who support us for give me this emotion again. Thank you very much.
Frankie, a less experienced rider might have gone for it a bit quicker at the start, but you were very, very patient and you just reeled Regis in. You believed, even before the race started, you were going to win today?
Honestly, at beginning I can push a little bit more, but always I try to think the race is 25 laps. Don't worry, if never rain, after you have maybe 4 or 5 second a lap of advantage. I have to say the Regis riding very hard today. I can pull a little bit more than like this, but was okay for reduce the gap and be safety also. I don't take so many risks, and just step by step I try to catch him, and in the last lap I pass him. So I'm very happy to have this result again, and now I have 17 victories in my career.
Many people say that's one of the best superbike races they've seen. For you, was it one of your best victories?
Yeah, it's a nice victory, and victory with experience, victory with the new bike, what we do. We just finished Friday morning this bike, and I tested this bike yesterday afternoon for 45 minutes, 45 minutes, and I chose this bike for both races. Was not perfect in the first one, and unfortunately I have some problem, but in the second one also I want to modify something, but it's hard when you never testing with this bike on the wet, and I said, okay, we change just suspension because I used too much tire in the first race, and I use the different shock, and was good. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Frankie Keeley, race winner and championship leader.
Thank you very much.
So Frankie Keeley using all his experience to great avail there. And you heard that, his newly departed grandmother helping him all the way. Steve Martin, the pole man, did a pretty good job of hanging on in there. You can see the gritty, determined man from Adelaide, head down. Regis Laconi thought he had it, but as you heard that, not unhappy. He pushed as hard as he possibly could with those wet tyres. And he really couldn't do anything about this man. Number 7, Frankie Keeley, a gentleman and a scholar of motorcycle racing. And he proved it with aplomb this afternoon. Absolutely superb performance, and one of the best we've seen at Misano in variable conditions throughout the weekend. The experience, though, of Keeley, we all have to bow to. Frankie Keeley, once again champion of Misano. And the question is, as he heads to Monza, the next round in a month's time, what will the future hold for the championship leader? Talk about motivation. If you haven't got a ticket for that one, buy one now. Could be a great round to go to. Certainly worth watching, because Frankie Keeley at Monza, regardless of what bike he's on, it's a very fast circuit, but it always leads to some great slipstreaming and some great racing. And you can be sure that Frankie will be there or thereabouts yet again. My thanks to James Hayden. Looking forward to that one?
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be awesome. I mean, Frankie at home at Monza, can't beat it.
My thanks to James Hayden. We'll be back next time from Monza. I'm Jonathan Green. I hope you've enjoyed the weekend here at Misano. We'll see you next time.